This is Jeff with Alpha Media Group. I'm here with Craig Bantle from Garage Brothers out in North Carolina. Today we're talking entrepreneurship, we're talking junk removal, and whatever else comes topic of mind, because we speak freely and say what's on our mind here. So, Craig, I wanted to let you know we have something in common. You've been definitely much more of a star than me, but I was on a TV show, and it was nothing like to your caliber. Mine was rather embarrassing. So when I was younger, much younger, I moved to LA and thought I was going to be an actor. And I ended up getting casted on a show for a day called 90210. And if you haven't seen it, consider yourself lucky. Ended up being kind of an interesting experience. It was a Valentine's Day episode. Girls pick guys. And it was this old lady, in my mind, who's now probably age-wise younger than me, picked me to be her date on this Valentine's episode. So it looked like a mother and son, you know, sitting there hanging out. And then she starts telling me about her career and all the stuff that she was doing. I said, you know what, I just don't think I want to be an actor. So perhaps you had a greater experience than I was, but that was my 15 seconds of fame in LA. And then I went a different route and became a behavioral therapist. Now I've been in marketing for 15 years. So give us a little bit of background about you and your TV show. We want to hear a little bit about you and how you got into that part of being in the industry.
It was a stroke of luck, to be honest with you. I've been doing junk removal for 13 years, and I've injured myself a few times, had to have a few surgeries, and I was at home after one of my 2 neck surgeries, and I had an interview with the local paper here, the News and Observer. You know, all my friends and family knew about it, and about 15 minutes after that interview was over, I got a phone call, and the guy on the other line said, "Hey, we've done shows for the History Channel and all these other networks. Are you interested in being on TV?" And I hung up the phone on him because I thought it was one of my friends messing with me. And then he called me back and he said, "No, we're serious." And so they came down, they shot a pitch tape. They took it to a convention. They showed it to, I think, 9 networks, and I think 4 or 5 of them wanted it. And we settled with the DIY network, and we shot five episodes. It sat on their shelf for 14 months, and the only reason that they wound up airing it was because somebody from the accounting department came in and said, "Hey, we spent a bunch of money on this show. How about we put it on the air to try to recoup some of our costs?" And they aired the 5 episodes. It was the #1 show, so they bought another 2 seasons, and then we continued on for another 4 after that. So it was a good time. We got 85 episodes in. I got to shoot over in England. I shot down in Texas. I shot in South Carolina. So it was a good time. Definitely unexpected.
Awesome. And what length of time did the show actually run? What year, what month was that?
It started, so we've been off the air for 3 years now, 2021. So it ran from 2012 to 2018, I think it was. 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what did you figure out? We talk a lot about branding in our groups. Did you figure out kind of what your brand was as far as how you connected with your clients, how people received you? Do you find that being on television was sort of this, let's throw you in the water, you're going to have to learn how to swim? Your brand as far as building Garage Brothers and you being the face of it, how would you interpret that time?
The TV show was, I mean, it was good in some aspects, and it was terrible in others. I think that I had my brand way before the TV show, to be honest with you, because I only got into the business because of my passion for charity work and recycling. And I think that is completely different than everybody else, especially in this area. I mean, that's why we use box trucks instead of dump trucks. I mean, everybody else is going to pick your stuff up in a dump truck, and when it's in a dump truck, you know where it's going 95% of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to use box trucks and be able to take the stuff back to our warehouse and sort through it so that we can make sure that stuff is getting recycled, make sure that it's going to specific charities, make sure that, the people that contact us that need specific things are getting those things. So I think that I had that brand before the TV show. And then just from talking to me that my business has changed over the years. I mean, I started only doing jobs that I could do completely for free because I was getting the merchandise. And then, and that's what the show was based on. So I've had to move away from what people knew me for on the TV show. I just got a call today for somebody that wants me to come clean their garage out, but they wanted me to do it because they saw me on TV. So they thought I was going to do it completely for free. And I had to tell them that's not how we work. So,
Right.
it was a blessing and a curse at the same time. But as far as my brand, like I said, I think that I had that before the show. So that has helped carry us through, after that.
What do you think makes Garage Brothers unique as far as a brand standing out from other businesses? You mentioned the box trucks. You mentioned having more of an affinity towards recycling and educating your clients. You get that question, right? And my guess is usually 5 out of 8 clients on average are going to ask, well, where does this stuff go? Where do you take it? Pretty close on. People are going to ask. So what makes Garage Brothers unique in your industry besides just the box trucks?
The amount of time that we put into what we're doing with the merchandise. I actually just spoke to 2 realtors today that are going to start using us because of that specific requirement that we have as a company. It drives me nuts to see the stuff that we're throwing away in our country. 87% of the stuff that goes in our landfills in America is reusable or recyclable.
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about that stuff. We don't think about what's the next generation going to do with all this stuff. This stuff is leaking into our water supply. You look at countries like the Netherlands that are importing barges of garbage every single day so they can burn it to use for their electricity. There's other options for this stuff. It doesn't need to go in a hole, somewhere that we could be doing something else with that land. We could be doing something else with that fresh water instead of having this stuff leak into it every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, I have the people that specifically call me because they know that that's what we're doing with this stuff. I have people that, refer me to other people because they know that their friends are passionate about recycling. They're passionate about charity work and making sure that stuff is getting into the right hands. So that's what sets us apart from everybody else.
I love that. I've seen in your industry, and I'm sure you've never seen these folks, but they're flashing Benjamins. They're bragging about kind of how much they've made in a day. And I work with some really wealthy clients, and I'll tell you what, Craig, they don't talk about how much they make in a day. They don't talk about who they are. They're not flashing $100 bills. That's not something that I'd say really wealthy people do. Yeah. And what I've learned is whether you're in my niche or your niche is you got to be solving problems and bringing value. And that sounds like that's what you're doing. And if you do that, then you're building a better foundation for money to come. But I think people need awareness. They need education on, like you're saying, 87% of the stuff that belongs to these landfills doesn't need to be there. We switched many years ago as a society that was more reliant upon hemp plants making products and stuff than making plastic. You might be familiar with that. Yeah. And so why is it? Why are we such a consumer society? And what can we do to really start changing that mindset besides just having a junk removal business? What can we do out here as consumers? I'm involved with you guys, but I'm still a consumer. What can we do to help you make the environment a better place?
Well, I think, just knowing you, I think the biggest thing is I know how much you love your family, and I know how much your kids mean to you. So that means passing on a healthier planet. So a lot of people can look at it and say, what do I care if I'm throwing this thing in the garbage can? It's not going to affect me any. But you have to look for what's going to happen in the future. So I think if you have something like that in your life that you're that concerned about, you will want to educate yourself. You will want to know, what can I do to help the planet? So it's things, we don't need to be so wasteful, and in the American society, we're so quick. We want everything now. We want everything to turn over as fast as possible. And when you do that, you're not thinking about the repercussions of it. So I think just taking a step back in your life and thinking, number one, is this stuff that I need? Is it stuff that I'm going to use? If I have stuff that I'm not using, what can I do with it? I think that there's different aspects in your life that you can look at and find ways to either put stuff in the right hands or make sure that it is going to the proper area. Mm-hmm. I think especially with the amount of knowledge that people have today with the internet and social media and stuff like that, it's so much easier to be able to get that knowledge. So I like to be able to pass that stuff along to our clients. And that's something that, obviously with organic funneling and stuff like that I want to be able to start putting out there through our social media and stuff like that. But just awareness, man, just awareness of who you have in your life, why you want the world to be a better place, and that's going to take everybody far.
I think that's really good. When Regina and I first married, I was 29, I'm 42 now. And I moved her into a big house at a 5,800 square foot house, 7 bath, 6, whatever. It was hell.
Yeah.
Bills, propane was $900 every 6 weeks. It was ridiculous. And I move her into this castle, I think, and thinking she's going to be happy. And she's much more of a simple person. Mm-hmm. She's the person behind Rehaul that we sold, Regina's hauling company. Mm-hmm. And if I had to pick out somebody in Brand Builders that she speaks a lot like you. Is really, it was about, taking care of the environment, recycling. That's where Rehaul came from: reduce, recycle, repurpose. Regina, that was the play on terms. And I wouldn't say this is completely our brand or our religion now, but minimalism is something that we really, kind of went towards. So now we live very simply. We don't have a lot of stuff, and I'm not saying it's for everyone, but I've had people come out, even people from Brand Builders, and they're kind of surprised that I live in a small place. I have one car. Yeah. I'm not wearing fancy clothes. I don't have an airplane. I'm really, but I'm happy. Yeah. I set myself up for opportunity. Like we get to open in Spain now because I did reduce my lifestyle down. Mm-hmm. And that's not for everybody, but I can't tell people enough. I've been on both sides. I've had a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. When we married, she had a home. So we had 4 houses, one including the miserable castle. And we might buy a house again. We sold our properties, but what it comes down to me, why I'm not in a hurry, is my kids. Yeah. What am I showing them? What am I teaching them? And that's the thing is so easy for kids to buy into this consumer society and waste. I tear my shorts, I hand them to Regina. Can you sew it back up for me? Yeah. People be like, you can go buy. I'm like, I know I can, but why am I going to put it on something wasteful? Why don't I put it on an investment, rather than just buying more stuff? So I was a knucklehead for a long time. It took me a lot of years to realize that I don't need all this crap. Yeah. And I think that's what I'm hoping to see. I'm starting to see more signs of it in junk removal, is that everything that's been going on in our world is that maybe people wake up a little bit and look more towards that minimal mindset. You don't have to have 1 cup, 1 fork. You don't have to go to that extreme. But it's freeing when you get rid of all this stuff. Yep. Another thing I noticed is grandma is saving everything for her grandson or her granddaughter. And I've been around it because we've owned a junk removal business, and I've seen Mr. and Mrs. Millennial that are 25 and married take all the stuff that grandma passed down, and I'm sure you know where this is going, and just dump it right in the trash. Yep. They don't care. So even those that are trying to do something good, like, hey, I'm going to pass it to my heirs, a lot of them in this generation don't really care. I've seen gold and silver be thrown in the trash. Like, we don't know what this is. We're just going to throw it away. And so I think you bring a lot of wisdom on that. I think you're right too, putting that brand out there, organic funding, let people see more of that too, and helping people understand that this industry is not just about making good money. And I talk to people a lot. That could be one of the biggest distractions, is like, oh, I made $2,000 today. I made $3,000 today. And it becomes almost like an addiction.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and make a lot of money every day, but are you making a difference?
Yeah.
Right. Right. So do you think we've gone backwards on consumerism as far as making it worse lately in the past few years? Or do you think we've made some strides and improvements? How would you grade it overall?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, I was in retail for 15 years before I started this. So to see, I mean, I ran the toy department at Target for 5 years. So to see people fighting over a Tickle Me Elmo was that kind of stuff makes me sad.
Right.
But then I'm part of these amazing groups that are all about, recycling and repurposing. And so I've seen both sides of it, so again, I think with our country, there's so much wanting it now and thinking that the stuff is what's going to make you happy, but then the positive parts about social media and stuff like that are just people are becoming so much more aware of being able to recycle, being able to repurpose stuff, so again, I think it's a little bit of both, but I like what I've been able to see, just because a lot of my clients, that's why they call us. So I do get to meet those people on a regular basis. I do get to see that they're passionate about what my company is passionate about. So that's an amazing thing to me.
Awesome. Awesome. So you're out in North Carolina. Can you tell us a little bit about the areas that you service for your business?
Yeah, I love where I'm at. I'm in Cary, which is supposedly a ritzy area, but it was a house that I cleaned out that was a hoarder's house, so I got kind of lucky. I probably would never be in this area if it wasn't for that. But the thing that I love about where I live is it's such a mixture of everything. Like I'm again, like it's considered a ritzy area, but you drive 20 minutes and you're out in the farmland. I can drive 2 hours and be in the mountains. I can drive 2 hours and be at the beach. There's such a mixture of places around here. I can go to Chapel Hill, which is a real ritzy area, or I can drive to Sanford or Angier and find these old barns, and find these great antiques in it. So there's such a mixture of people and places down here. I love it. I couldn't imagine being anywhere else.
Awesome. Awesome. So you've been in brand builders with us for a little while. I like to get perspective on what people get out of it. And as a marketing agency, kind of like yourself, let me take it a step back, is I don't want to just be a marketing company or a lead gen company. That's what a lot of people were doing. They're a dime a dozen.
Yep.
There's people in your area, my area, they're doing it all over the place. So I wanted to be different. So I started leaning with my clients and saying, what are you really looking for? And take your questions that you were texting and asking me times 1,000. Mm-hmm. It took me 1,000 times to get it. I said, look, people really want an educational platform. They want a network, the branding, and the marketing. So it really became 4 parts.
Yep.
And all of them are important, because things are always changing. But what is it that you get out of it? You've been in the group for a little while. What value do you see, and how is that helping you personally, and how is that helping your business?
I mean, there's a ton of value in it. The thing that I like about it most is the family aspect of it, the camaraderie of it. Unfortunately, down here, between the junk removal companies, there's I'll just flat out say there's like a hatred. I mean, I have had other junk removal owners go to apartment managers that I know and say, we'll do whatever we have to put Garage Brothers out of business. I mean, to me, that's just, it's ludicrous. So to be able to have other guys in the group that are not gunning for me, number one, but number two, that are legitimately care about your business, mm-hmm. and legitimately want to offer assistance, that have been there, that have been through it. I mean, I really haven't seen anything in brand builders that I think, they should add this. I mean, it seems like it's all inclusive to me, which is awesome. I know that if I ever have a question, then I can shoot you a text, or that I can call you. Mm-hmm. I got an awesome website built. I got Matt that is helping me with Google, my business, and Google Ads. I have you guys doing videos for me. I know that if I have any questions, I got a plethora of people that I can go to. So, I mean, you guys are all inclusive, and you're not, like you said, you're not like the other companies, and everybody that I asked in the junk removal groups, you were the one that kept coming up. So
Awesome. Awesome. And what I love too, because I'm a student, I learned from you guys as well. I mean, I consider it like the Michael Jordan sheet, right? When Michael Jordan, I figure we're pretty close in age, and we've seen Jordan play basketball, is that he said, I'm the biggest thief in basketball. I'm learning how Larry shoots a 3-pointer and how Magic passes the ball. And it really helped me, because I started taking notes from you guys and learning and saying, wow. And I thought about it too, because I'm a competitive person. I said, no other marketing company is going to be able to beat this in this sense. Yeah. Because if they're going to, go for it, go ahead and try. And you're going to have to work for it if you do, because this group is feeding into each other. It's like, I started looking at this and I started taking notes from everyone. I thought, wow, somebody would really have to be sleeping in this group to really not be successful, at least long-term, because you have so much wisdom, so many different talents. Someone's good at Google Ads. Someone's good at Google My Business. I geek out when it comes to SEO and algorithms, but I'm just a part of it. Mm-hmm. I think at times I'm like, okay, so I got to take off on April 1st. Moses might be teaching a class. That's fine. I have a group that can handle the leadership if I have to take a night off, because the value is not just me. The value is the dynamic, the network, the group. Mm-hmm. So I look back and did some research, and why do companies fail? You're talking about your stat with, landfills. So statistically, it goes left or right. You might have heard this number: 80% of businesses fail within 5 years. Mm-hmm. And they say undercapitalization. Well, my background's behavioral therapist. I've been on both sides of marriage therapy, and they say it's money that failed. It's not money. It's communication about money. It's trust. It's commitment. It's so many different things. Money is an amoral object they're trying to assign the problem to, and it's not the problem. Mm-hmm. So in business, money is not necessarily the problem as much as people are not around a supporting network, of people. And I found that networking and building a network is going to be one of the biggest pathways towards an insurance policy, if you will, for someone to actually stay in business, because they can draw from everyone around them and not try to do it themselves. I'm not a big fan of these gurus that say they're self-made millionaires. That's bullshit to me. There is no such thing as a self-made millionaire. You had customers. Yeah. You had people that worked for you. You had someone sell your book and peddle your stuff. Yeah. So to me, it's been humbling for me, because I'm able to come in and learn from all of you too, and bring that value to you guys. Hey, here's what I learned from Matt. And I'm coming and bringing value to Matt. I said, hey, Matt, you're doing great on this, but let's work on your brand some more. Man, can you imagine your brand coupled with this? And he's such a sponge and a student. We got 3 Matts now. So Matt Moses, and all of them are good, but he's such a student, and he's like, okay. And he's applying that. Joseph Martinez, who's, 10 years my senior, but he's like, I want to sit at the front of the classroom and do everything. I want to apply it all. Yeah. And that's where, if you just do the work, you're going to have the results. And that's what I like to see, is people actually putting in the work. But I like hearing you guys connecting with each other, helping each other out, because that's what it's about. Yeah. And maybe I'm helping reshape marketing, just like you're helping reshape junk removal and making it more about keeping stuff out of the landfill, protecting our environment. So my goal really, because I can't take a lot with me, we know that when this life's over, maybe generationally it leaves an impact, and this is how people start running businesses more. Yeah. I don't like the people monetizing secrets. I keep things somewhat secretive in brand builders, because that's a respect of the group. Mm-hmm. But when I see a lot of people monetizing secrets, that just seems slimy to me. Yeah. Like, no, it's just, if you're in here, you're going to learn how to do it. We're going to help you do it, but you need to be aware of what's going on. So we appreciate having you in here too. You guys get a lot of value from you. So tell us a little bit about working with property management companies. You've had a lot of experience working with property management. Give us some of the pros, the positives of how someone can successfully go in, and you hear me use this term a lot, go in and serve that client avatar, which is just a digital name for audience. Mm-hmm. So someone's brand new in the industry. They want to go break into the property management market. What tips and tools would you give them?
Cupcakes, man. Cupcakes.
Explain. I'm in agreement with you, and you know it. We're both smiling because without even knowing each other, we tried it on different sides of the United States, probably right around the same time.
Yeah.
So
Getting in to be able to speak to a property manager is extremely tough, and that was something that I noticed right from the get-go. It's not easy to be able to plant yourself in front of a property manager because those people are crazy busy. And I mean, I dated one for 5 years, and so I learned a lot of the tricks of the trade that way. And she was always busy. And the people that they have out in front, the leasing agents, they call them the what? No, I'm blanking, but they have them out there basically to screen people because they don't want them coming in because they're so busy all the time. So
the gate, right?
gatekeepers, yeah, exactly. Thank you. So I learned, what does everybody love around here, especially Gigi's cupcakes. You walk in with Gigi's cupcakes, man, and it is like the Red Sea parts because people, every single one of them wants a Gigi's cupcake, and you come in there with them. Take me right to your leader, and they go right to the property manager, and then you got a face to face, and you got 5-10 minutes to sell yourself.
Right.
So I was able to walk in, get in front of the manager, and then it's just telling my story. Where am I going to save you money? Are you passionate about recycling? Are you passionate about specific charities? Where can I take your stuff? Where can I keep it out of the landfill for you? Where can I help your budget, especially? That's the big thing for them. They make their money by getting bonuses, by hitting their budgets.
Right.
So that's the biggest difference between working with apartment communities and property management companies versus residential. The money is different. I mean, especially around here, I have to charge $10 a cube less at these apartment communities to stay in there. And then you got other companies coming in and underbidding me, which I have no idea how they're making money doing it. But it's a completely different beast. But it's great because you know that you have steady work. So if you got a Gigi's cupcake place around you, or you got a cake maker around you that is the bomb diggity, you better get in with them and you start slapping those babies around the offices, and you'll be getting calls left and right.
It's awesome. And so when I was, how old was I? I guess about 24, and I bought a gutter cleaning and window cleaning business, which is very parallel in a lot of ways. Same type of client avatar. You want to get in there. They're busy. They don't necessarily want to know you. They're not your friend at first. They're not like out here in Texas where they'll invite you in for a sweet tea and you hang out like at a residential job.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to one of these guys, and the reason I don't like gurus or don't like college so much is because I've been there. Like, it's like, if you've been married and divorced, you're going to have some opinions. Like, I don't like learning from those folks as much anymore. I like continued education, as you probably know. But I was listening to one of these guru guys, and he is from one of these investment firms, and he's given a speech, and he did pretty well navigating it. Guy sandbagging him. He goes, well, that's great. You're a millionaire, you're wealthy, but how can I start making like money tomorrow? The guy was really cool. And he goes, here's what I did with every new client. Every time I got a new client, I sent a cake to their office. And I'm thinking a cake. I'm like, this is dumb. Like, that's your $1 million tool. And he goes in to explain it. And he goes, think about it. Rarely do people eat cake alone. They ask what the occasion is, and it puts them in a good mood. So now you got this cake going back to the break room with all your swag and everything around it. People talking about it. Who sent this? What's the occasion? Oh, it was Garage Brothers. Oh, it was, whatever company. And so now people are talking about that, engaging. And then I was so introverted. I'm naturally an introverted person. I had to work at the extroversion side. So I was scared to go in. I'm 24. So I hired some young buck to go drop them off. That worked in my favor because that really increased, that compounded the law of reciprocity. Because they're like, oh, I'm going to call the owner. And who usually calls the owner? The leader. So the leader and the owner are on their phone together. And then it's like, well, can you go look at some, how it goes from there. The narrative was, hey, can you go check out some properties for me? They're happy. They're eating my cake. And so I rinse and repeat. But the ROI on that, and I'm in marketing. Still to this day, there's no bigger ROI than cake. I throw cupcakes there too. It just has a way of putting people in this mood and setting the scene.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to get good at that. You got to learn these creative moves, because you look at it as property managers, it's like a bunch of single ladies at the bar. Why are they going to listen to you? Because you have the best one-liner, you got the nicest shirt, you know, you have the craziest hair. Like, what is going to be the appeal?
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to draw them towards you. And food does that. And so we had great success, and we went from 4 property management companies to 88 within a few years. And it was great. It was during a recession. So it was like, wow, we really kind of hit this jackpot. But I think it comes down to people really understand their client avatar. It's like, well, you know, I have nice trucks, I have good business cards, I have a nice website. Yeah, but you have no strategy. And the strategy, I think, is what's going to eat everything else for breakfast. And when you have a strategy to go in and do that, residential clients is a whole different, I guess, genre of clientele, different types of people. And what we've learned is really to base a lot on time, because they're calling a lot about price. So what I've done is switch the conversation a lot on time. And that's been very helpful for me. And I've been working with some people in brand builders that use that tool. Well, how much? Well, I don't know till I get there. Well, can you give me an estimate? No, I can't. Wait, what? Now I've triggered something, right? I've shifted the thinking, well, we're a pretty busy company. What I can do is I can show up ready to do the work. And if you say no, that's fine. But 98% of the time people do the work. I just tell them straight like that, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And sure enough, 98% of the time it's like, well, he's already here. Yeah. He's already got the truck. The people are outside of the truck ready to pick up my stuff. Like, well, why am I going to waste my time trying to find someone else?
Yeah.
You know, and you get in these good neighborhoods where people are not tripping over $50. You know, when Regina and I had bigger homes, I didn't clean my house. I hired someone to clean my house because it didn't make sense for me financially to do it. Yeah. So, and then another thing is I've really seen is people position themselves as a technician. When I call an electrician or a plumber, I'm not calling for an estimate. I'm calling like, get here and get the shit done. Right. Yeah. So when we start putting ourselves as technicians, like even get that in the language of your staff, like you're a technician, you're technical at something, you're fixing something, your job is very much technical. You're breaking stuff apart, you're recycling, you're moving things. So, and that's what I found is, man, I don't get another estimate when it comes to plumbers and electricians. I need someone to do the work. And I'm not going to waste my time jumping on the phone, going to the next place. So, so that's my thoughts on it, is learning and understanding your audience. So anything else, any key things you could teach people on how to understand property managers and their experience, or maybe a story or an experience where you learned the hard way, or how did you come to really understand how the jobs work, and what are a few more nuggets you can maybe leave for people on how to address those types of clients?
I mean, I think the biggest thing is, like I said, is realize that they're on a budget, and it's not. I think the managers and the maintenance guys, if it was up to them, they would just pick whoever they wanted to. But you have to realize with a homeowner, yeah, you could probably show up to a lot of places and say, this, you know, I'll be there. This is what we're going to do, and this is how much it's going to cost. You know, it doesn't work that way with property management companies, because they got to get approval from their owners. Sometimes they have to bounce the budget off of their regional, you know, and you have to realize, I need to make this much, but they need to save this much. So you've got to be able to balance those two when you're going in there with a price, and no, it's not going to be the same as doing a residential job. You know, it really is more based on what you're going to charge them versus the you know, the quality of the work. A lot of times, it's a totally different beast. So I think that's, you've got to know that before you try to get into it, you know, of really how different it is from just doing strictly residential stuff.
I've learned too that if I'm a property manager, because I've been one, I've had my properties, I haven't been to the scale of like an apartment complex. I don't want a liability. Yeah. And you're a liability before you're an asset. You're sort of guilty until proven valuable. And then, does that make sense? And you break something, you could be uninsured. I've had a property management company, a job that we didn't get. She called me and goes, I hired someone else. She's crying, freaking out. We built a little bit of a mini relationship, just friendship. And she's freaking out, crying. She goes, he just fell off the roof and cracked his head. Now the station's showing up here. Now the police station's showing up. She goes, what do I do? I said, first thing is call your superior and go out there and make yourself available to the people that have questions and make sure he is safe as possibly can. Turns out everything ended up being okay. Overall, the guy still ended up being stable and things were fine. I guess it just minor bleed, but it could have been much worse. And it gets people to think, wow, I need to have someone that's insured, someone that's safe, someone that's having good practices at the business or our establishment, because anybody that comes in my door, and I've learned that principle. So what we do is we choose our clients very similar to how we choose our staff. This person is going to represent my business. Is this a good person? Are they going to represent our brand well? So if you're watching this video, and it took us a long time to get there, believe me, if you're starting out, I don't think that's something that you can just necessarily start with. It's a little rough. You're going to sometimes maybe take some jobs you don't want to take, or like Craig starting out just doing the recycling side. You have to start somewhere. But if you can get to this point and you're choosing your clients the way that you're choosing your team, it's a much better position to be in because they all represent you, you know, and we represent them. So we look for that relationship. I enjoy our talks a lot, Craig. I enjoy having you in the group. I like the camaraderie that you said. I'm glad that everybody can tolerate my sense of humor as well as my staff can. Try not to keep it dry, but give us a couple call to action. How can we find you? Where can we find you? Give us your website and a phone number if we want to get in touch with Garage Brothers.
Phone number is 919-533-5207, and the website is thegaragebrothers.com.
Okay. Great, my friend. Well, till next time, I'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you in our next meeting.
Much obliged, my friend.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah.